This is the Ecoflow Delta Max 2000. Alright guys, I figured it was update time. It's been a few weeks, well, maybe a few months actually, since we talked about the power solution that we're using in the Wrangler. I've been just kind of getting ready. We're heading down to Oregon. Actually, when you're watching this video, I'll probably be down in Oregon with the, where is it here? The off-grid trailer hiding up in the bush. And we're taking this on a huge road trip. And I was just getting my gear ready and I figured, we haven't talked about what we're using to power everything in the Jeep since I switched over. Now, if you guys recall and watched the video, I'll put a link up in the corner. When we did the installation of the scene lighting on the Jeep and setting up our power system for the fridge, I was using some of these Dometic PLB40 batteries because they're fairly compact. We could kind of hardwire them in because of the way their screw-in 2-pin connector works, and I could power all of my 12-volt needs, which is basically the exterior lighting on the Jeep and the fridge. In addition to that, I was carrying around a Jackery 1000. I was using that to power any of my AC needs. So this has a 1000 watt inverter in it, and we could just grab this out of the Jeep and go. Honestly, the size of the battery in there, it was, you know, it wasn't lasting a super long time. One of the main things that I like to power with AC is, things everywhere, my Nespresso machine. And well, we did the coffee showdown, and if you guys are wondering what we ended up using, well, we're still using the Nespresso because of just how simple and quick and easy it is to grab out of the Jeep and use. But we've got other AC needs, like my portable heater that I run at night when we're camping in the winter. I can't run that for very long off of the Jackery, and so basically I would only use it in the morning when we started the day and I wanted to heat up the tent before we got going. So we have different power requirements for running all kinds of different stuff. This is the lights we're talking about, this scene lighting. We've got the Baja Designs S2 lights up here on the side, as well as we've got them underneath the roof rack, and those run on DC, but they don't use a ton of amps. They're like, I think 2 amps each, somewhere in there. So we don't need a lot of power, but I've got kind of everything wired up in here. Basically, we put a Blue Seas panel back here. This has got a 50 amp circuit in it that we can distribute out, and that is what we're using to charge the Ecoflow. We've got an aux beam controller set up, which is wired up to my lights. We've got our switch panel here on our tailgate. This is then fed by whatever power system we have. Anyways, that's the whole backstory. In case you're new to the channel or you missed some of those videos, I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of my requirements, but I thought, well, we should probably talk about the Delta Max because we haven't. And so I've been running this for the last couple of trips. We had this in the Jeep on the way down to Moab. I'm gonna keep this in the Jeep for the trip down to Oregon, even though we have the trailer with like over 300 amp hours of batteries and a 2000 watt inverter. I'm gonna keep this in here because I'll probably bring my small fridge filled with sparkling water. But I figured this is a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the Delta Max and some of its features. This thing has a 2000 watt hour battery in it. And so the Delta Max also has a 2000 watt inverter in it. So plenty of AC power for whatever I need. The Nespresso machine, it uses about 900 to 950. The mini heater that I have on high usually runs about 250 watts. So now I can pretty much run my portable heater in my rooftop tent all night long. Front, we have all our USB ports. It even has 100 watt USB ports. And then we've got our power button, and that has a nice LCD display. It kind of tells you how much, how many watts are left in it, how long it will run at the current output. And right now it's, well, not outputting anything because we don't have anything plugged into it. But all the USB ports in the display are on the front, but around the back, and I really like this, it's got these 2 carrying handles on here because it's easy to pick up and move around. But on the back is where we have our 12 volt receptacle here. So this is where I plug in that harness to power my aux beam controller. We plug that in and then we turn this on, and now we have 12 volt power going to that. We can run whatever we plug into the aux beam essentially. We've got a couple 3 amp barrel connectors here on the side, and then we've got the AC power here. So we've actually got 6 AC ports that we can plug in here, and we can run up to 2000 watts, and actually it will burst even higher, but we can run a 2000 continuous load for, I guess, an hour because we have a 2000 watt hour battery in here. And then we have our charging charging receptacles. So we've got our regular AC in here. Now you can actually fast charge this or slow charge this up to 1800 watts. I'll show you the app in a second. It kind of just explains this a little bit better. And then you can set it to slow or custom. The AC charging adjustability is kind of neat because if you have a smaller inverter in your vehicle, you can turn this down so that you're not tripping your inverter. The downside to this is, well, I can only turn it down to 200 watts, which isn't low enough for the Wrangler's inverter, but it would be low enough for a Gladiator's inverter, which has, I think it's 400 or 450 watt AC inverter versus the 150, I think it is in the Wrangler. Unfortunately, I can't charge this at all off of AC, even setting it to its lowest setting. But then we also have a 2-pin connector here for DC. We can charge this up to 8 amps, which I have this plugged into that Blue Seas sub panel that you saw in the back of the Jeep. I'm looking at some converters. Maybe you guys can let me know. I don't know a ton about changing the voltage of DC power, but I think my theory is that if I step up the voltage on that 12 volt Blue Sea panel, or at least an output to a higher voltage, and I get that to 24 or 48 volts, we'll actually be able to charge this a lot higher because this can charge at a much higher voltage because it can accept the solar panels are 48 volts. And I've had just one panel plugged in here and had it charging between 200 and 250 watts. I know it can charge a lot faster. We just have to get the voltage changed. So maybe you guys can let me know or leave me some links or some resources so that I can figure that out. But regardless, it's nice to see that there is some flexibility in the AC charging that you can get with this. You know, maybe we'll just need to get a Gladiator with a bigger inverter in it. But anyways, I'd love to know how to charge this a bit more on the DC side because you can actually dual charge this. You can have it plugged into the AC and a solar panel or a DC load and be charging it, I think, all the way up to 2500 watts. So you can charge this really, really quickly with both dual charging it. I'm just gonna plug it in here. So we've got it set to fast here. We just toggle that up to the top and come around to the front. And it's ramping up. You can, right here is our charge rate. So it's climbing 700, almost 1500 watts of charging, which you need, right? Because this is a big battery. This is a 2000 watt hour battery. The other thing that's really neat with this is the app that comes with it. And so this connects over Wi-Fi. I'm just gonna stop it from charging here because it's loud. It does have some fans in it. It's mostly, I just don't want you guys hearing it in the background of this video. We can toggle all of the settings through the app itself, and the app connects via Wi-Fi, which is pretty cool. So we can turn on like the AC inverter. It has the X boost, which allows it to boost past the 2000 watt. Do not use X boost while the unit's plugged into a wall socket to avoid tripping. So you got to be a little bit careful. This thing has a ton of power in it, but we can turn on the DC output as well as the USB ports on here. And we can monitor our output rates as well as our input rates. So you can see what's coming in on the DC input as well as the AC. Watch if we plug this back in. So you can actually watch the charge rates via your phone. You don't have to go and get your Delta Max out to be able to check that. So the other thing is we can go into the settings and we can configure different discharge levels that we want. So we can actually set this to not charge all the way up. Here's where we can change the AC charge speed when we have it on custom, but right here we can only go down to 200 watts, but we can crank that all the way up to any of the different wattage charge speeds. But if you put it at 300 watts and you've got a Gladiator, you'll be able to charge it off the AC. And then we can actually set the car input to be lower than 8 amps, but we definitely want to keep that at 8 amps. You can set screen timeouts, how long the AC will run for before that turns off, so you can not have your inverter run forever. You don't want your inverter on all the time because it will draw power from the battery when it's on, even if you're not using it. So you want to have that timeout or turn off. There is a bit of a caveat with the app. So Delta actually connects to your house Wi-Fi, so you can actually control this anywhere in your house. But when you're off grid, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't have Wi-Fi, you can see how that would be a bit of a problem. You can connect directly to this. It will turn on a Wi-Fi signal and you can connect your phone to that Wi-Fi signal, but you do have to turn on that Wi-Fi and then connect to it, so it's not quite as seamless. It would be cool if this was like a Bluetooth. It had Bluetooth capability that you could connect with it, because, well, the Ecoflow Wave connects via Bluetooth, which I think is a better system for when you're off grid and out in the middle of nowhere. Which is kind of a good segue to talk about what else can this do. Because on the side of this, here, let me spin it around. Check this out. We've got these two ports here. Now we can actually connect additional batteries to the side of this. So if you're using this at home as a backup system, you can actually connect another battery to it. Or we can take this cable here. We can actually take the Wave, which has its battery port, and if you didn't purchase the battery with the Wave, which you can save some money if you have the Delta Max, you can plug this right into the side here. Plug this right into the side of the Wave. There we go. We can now run the Wave off of our Delta and have a portable air conditioner. So it's not plugged in anything else other than the Delta Max, and we turned it on, and now we've got our portable air conditioner running off our Delta without the battery if you didn't buy it. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna bring this with us on my trip down to Oregon, and we're gonna try this out because it's supposed to be super hot where we're going. There we go, we've got this thing cranking out cold air, drawing about 250 watts. I know a lot of you guys were asking how long will the Wave run. Well, if we've got a Delta Max 2000, it's gonna run, you know, we're at 58%, it's saying about 4 hours, but once we get the room down to whatever temperature we want, like I've just got this thing cranked as low as it'll go. But if you're looking to run your Wave off of this, I mean, we're only drawing 250, 260 watts off of it, and we could get 5 or 6 hours off of half a battery. So I'd say we'll probably get close to 7 or 8, maybe 9 hours running off of this full charge. But anyways, we're not talking about the Wave. Go check out my video if you want to know a bit more about it. But I just thought I'd show you that. Before we wrap up this video, let me show you just how I'm mounting it or securing it in my Jeep. So we'll just tuck this in nicely, and I've just ran a ratchet strap through the two tie downs underneath it. Since we have the nice handles on top of the Delta, we can just wrap this around. Now my Delta Max is nice and secure. It's not gonna go anywhere in the Jeep while we're driving around. If you wanna go check out the Delta Max or grab one of your own, I'll leave some links down in the description. And don't miss the Oregon series, towing the off-grid trailer. That's gonna be coming up next. So smash that subscribe button. Leave a like as always if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.